And we're on. Hello and welcome to podcast episode 153 of Robberies Boxing. The two Daves are back once again on a Monday to bring you just a review episode for the last 2 weekends of boxing. Obviously, we didn't have a show last week, so we're going to cram it all into one for your boxing listening and viewing pleasure. If you're new to the channel, ladies and gentlemen, please like, share and subscribe. Let me hit my thumbnail. There it is at the bottom there. And Dave's doing his finger wagging as he normally does. So yeah, crack on there, guys. Get those algorithms going. Please like, please share, please subscribe, please follow. Just do everything to help us kind of grow in the YouTube charts, help us grow in the Spotify charts, as if there is such a thing. So yeah, get cracking on there, guys. David boy, I was going to say I haven't seen you for 2 weeks, but I did see you the previous week because you came up to celebrate my missus' 40th birthday. Thank you very much. It was lovely to see you and the lads, mate. But apart from that, it was a great night. How are things, mate? I haven't spoke to you much over this weekend, so how you diddling, mate?
Yeah, all right, mate. Yeah, again, thanks for having us. It was good fun. It's always a good laugh and us a lot get together, and the party was great and everyone was great. So yeah, thanks for having us, mate. It was a lovely time. Yeah, I mean, we wasn't available last week because of half terms and whatnot, and bits and pieces going on. But
I hate half terms, by the way. Sorry to interrupt. I hate these. Any parents out there or anybody who's got kids that has an October half term, in the comments box, can you please let me know what the point is? Because it's not anything. There's no sort of festivals. There's no it's not like Easter or Christmas, anything like that. I just can't see the point. Why not, when they go back to school after the 6 week summer holidays, Dave, go straight into Christmas? I just can't see the point. And it's put me back a week with the boxing. And then obviously you couldn't make it later in the week because you had plans. Just fucks everything up, mate. Honestly, I hate half terms. When we was at school, we would have loved them. I get it from the kids' point of view, not going to school. But as a parent now, it's just a pain in the arse. But sorry, mate, I just had to throw that.
No, you're all right, mate. No,
I detest waste of time half terms.
Well, it's every 6 weeks they're off. I mean,
more or less.
I'm sure it wasn't like that when we were at school. I'm fucking sure it wasn't. No. But we didn't feel like it anyway. And then it was my missus's birthday this weekend, so I was away. We went to like a hotel spa thing that we usually do on the Friday and Saturday. So that was all right. Came back yesterday and went and saw my dad because he's not very well, so we all know. So I drove fucking Portsmouth at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, which was great. Went to see him for a bit, and then that's it, mate. Plenty of boozing. So I went out on the piss with the people from work on Thursday, which is why we couldn't record. One of my supervisors has left, which is a shame because he's a good lad.
When it's alcohol involved, Dave, you're allowed to buy. So I'll let you have that one.
Yeah, and it was messy as well.
You're off the wagon, aren't you? So
I'm off the wagon now. Yeah, I sunk a few. I was quite pissed. I was drinking that neck oil. I'm not really into IPAs and all that sort of stuff, but it was. I thought I'd give it a
wet, you'll drink it.
Yeah. So I whacked into a few of them, and I wasn't as pissed as I thought I was going to be, but that was good. And then me and her went out on to the hotel on Friday, straight on the drink. Got a load of drink for the room and shots, and that we was up and down in the bar, and it was good. And I did the same Saturday. So I've been drinking all weekend, which was great. And Sunday, just other than going with my dad's, I didn't do a lot, mate. But plenty of boozing, mate. So I'm back in the game. So yeah. What about you, mate? What'd you get up to?
That's right. I'm just now you mentioned shots. It's kind of refreshed my memory at the party. One of the football team dads said to me when he was ordering shots at the bar, apparently one of the women behind the bar said to him, "Don't you all lot drink normal drinks?" And he was like, "What do you mean?" He says, "Just non-stop drinking shots, trays and trays and trays of shots. It's ridiculous. It's in a good way. You put money behind a bar, but no pints, just constant shots." So.
Yeah, they probably cost us just as much.
Cool, not half.
We done a whole bottle of tequila rosé.
Yeah, I don't, mate. I love a shot. I don't remember drinking as many shots in my youth. I was still kind of pints or vodka Red Bulls are still my poison today. But I can't now. I'm drinking more shots than ever now. Maybe it's the influences around me now, the different sort of people I'm around. But yeah, she said that. She said, "Don't you guys drink normal drinks, as in pints? It's just pure shots." But yeah, I didn't have any shots this weekend, mate. Not I can remember. Lack of sleep. Again, football. My journey is it's good for me because that's what I like to do. But obviously, people listening, probably here he goes again. Yeah, good results for a couple of our teams, Stourbridge, my lads' team as well. We've got a new sponsor, by the way. I mean, we don't make any money from this podcast. That's a fact, right? We don't make any money from this podcast, but I'm constantly paying out. Another player called Tegan Hands plays for the Stourbridge Standard. Another great player that I think's too good for the level that she's at. I saw her yesterday at the Stourbridge game. So she'll be popping on the screen, and we're talking about her journey as well, along with Isla and Abby. Abby, who plays for Redditch, mate. She scored yesterday. She got an assist. They're back to winning ways, 5-1. So yeah, all good, mate. All good.
Are we sponsoring the whole squad or what?
It's going that way. It's looking that way. Yeah. But it's nice that the players that we're sponsoring are getting goals as well, and our kind of rope-a-dope /Dave Graham boxing podcast is getting mentioned in eyeballs. It's just hopefully more eyeballs are coming onto the YouTube channel, and just fucking subscribe as well, guys. But yeah, apart from that, mate, inverted commas, I will say that if you go and listen to the Stourbridge podcast that I do, I've been a bit of a naughty boy, and I'll be having to make an apology very, very soon. But crack into that, and you'll see why. But,
you can say what happened on here, because there is no filters on this. But
there ain't. But yeah, you know me, guys. I get a bit carried away, don't I? I get passionate, not just about boxing, but about not so much women's football, but about Stourbridge, because they're my team now, especially the women's section. I probably do say things that I shouldn't, but I don't mean any harm. But I have when I'm in the wrong, I admit I'm in the wrong. But that's all I'm going to say about that. Now, before we crack into the 10 fights we've got to review, mate, I want your thoughts on a video I tagged you in earlier.
Yeah.
Because we're not doing David McDonald today, because we're going to do another episode on Wednesday to fill it out, because there's not a lot of boxing going on this weekend. So we're going to save it for them. But I think we do need to mention it today. Obviously, I'm talking about Chris Eubank Jr. posting a video of what he claimed he was being locked in for 20 minutes, couldn't get outside. And yes, he did make the claim that it was Eddie Hearn and Matchroom. He's released a video today, mate, which obviously you can't see any, if you don't know any members of Team Matchroom, we definitely can't see Eddie Hearn. I mean, people are joking that he's driving the ambulance. But what he has put on there, Dave, it does look like the ambulance is stuck.
Yeah.
It looks like he can't get out. It does look like people screaming to open the doors. So he's made a legit claim there, mate. It does look like he's been, whether it's 20 minutes or not, we don't know, because obviously will be CCTV. But he's not lying, is he? He's not lying. No. Yeah, what's your thoughts, mate?
He's provided receipts. Listen, the nitty-gritty details are still to be seen.
Yeah.
Because he has laid claim to it being a certain person and a certain organisation, which from the video you can't see that. It's not as if Eddie Hearn standing in front of the fucking no, he's been a traffic marshal or things like that. So yes, he has claimed that it's happened, and it looks to be the case. But it's where he's laid the blame that may not go down too well, but which it hasn't gone down too well. But he has got receipts, and it did happen. So say what you want about Chris Eubank Jr. He's very clever in what he does. He very, very rarely makes a claim and doesn't sort of back it up. Do you know what I mean? So he's very calculated in the claims that he makes. But with this one, it's very difficult from the footage to tell who exactly was stopping it. But it does look like it was stopped. And yeah, again, it's fantastic PR for what they're trying to do. I mean, whether you're with him or you're against him, for promotion, he's fantastic. So,
we're only weeks away, aren't we, as well? So it's very clever how he's doing it and what he's doing.
Yeah, he's the number one of that. He's the world champion of that. That's for sure. He'll never have a world championship belt wrapped around his waist. But for selling a show, he is number one.
He is, mate. Let's crack on to 2 weeks ago. Talking about selling shows and being number one. We're talking about Fabio Wardley versus Joseph Parker, mate. Interim belts up for grabs at the O2. Parkers, we had Jay on with us last week making the predictions, mate. I've written there in the banner, guys, white collar to world titles for Wardley. The story is absolutely amazing. It was the rebuild, wasn't it, for Joe Joyce under Andy Lee, the transformation, if you like, and obviously Fabio Wardley coming from that white collar tag.
Joe Joyce.
Oh, sorry. Joseph Parker, sorry, coming off that Joe Joyce defeat. He's rebuilt himself, sorry.
Yeah.
But yeah, what would happen? Obviously, Parker was the favourite going into that. Most people gave, apart from yourself, you've got receipts, talking receipts of you do predict Fabio Wardley to win by stoppage. So you're spot on there, mate. But the bookies are pointing towards Parker to get the job done, whether it be points or stoppage. And I think most of the boxing community did as well. Mate, I disagree with a lot of people when they say that Joseph Parker was miles in front in the fight before the stoppage. I did have him in front, but I think it was a bit more close to what people are making out. They were making out like it was some sort of masterclass, and I've got to be honest, I've got to disagree. I thought Joseph Parker at times, his boxing, the skills that he's produced under Andy Lee, the trap setting and the bringing people onto the uppercut kind of disappeared. Yeah. It came across some of the rounds, mate, especially after round 2, like, I'm just going to have a fight with you now. I'm going to trade with you now. If that is the game plan, fair enough. It didn't work. But if that wasn't the game plan, he just wanted to kind of show he's got cojones and I can match you punch for punch. You're the guy that's supposed to be the new Deontay Wilder. I'm going to show you I'm that guy. So it kind of went out the window. But mate, the fight was brilliant. It wasn't worth £25. Me, you and Jay said that. The card wasn't worth 25 quid because it's behind another paywall, 2 paywalls. Yeah. But I've got to be honest, Fabio Wardley, he's never in shit fights. No. Always delivers. And I kind of love the story because he's kind of defying odds. You're not supposed to do white collar going on to Undisputed because he's next in line. He's next in line.
Four white collar fights, by the way. Only 4.
Only 4 white collar. The story's amazing. We have
he only put gloves on 10 years ago.
Exactly. It's a brilliant story and I love it. And he should be next to fight Usyk. Whether he does or not, that's probably down to Usyk and what he wants to do, whether it's right for him. But he's in that position. And just going back to it, mate, I know it was 2 weeks ago and people obviously heard other podcasts talk about it. Well, we're going to have our Penrith now. I really enjoyed the fight. I didn't have a dog in the fight. I thought Joseph Parker would be enough. But Fabio Wardley, I still, to this day, we can talk about the stoppage, obviously, because it's quite controversial. He was in that fight for me, Dave. He was in that fight every single round. He has got the equaliser. And in the end, it proves once again that he is the UK version of Deontay Wilder.
I thought, I agree with you to say that the card wasn't pay-per-view, but hindsight's a wonderful thing. And the actual main event probably was, in the action that you got. I thought it was a fantastic fight. And you've mentioned there about Joseph Parker standing there and, not doing what, like you say, not doing what he usually does, but sort of looking to have a brawl, have a fight.
That's what I thought.
And but I know everything geared up for that for me when they announced the weight. He'd packed on 20 pounds.
265, I think he came in, 265 he came in, didn't he?
20 pounds heavier than what he's ever been. And I think at one point in time, he was the same weight as what Tyson Fury was in one of his WR fights.
He has packed out a bit, though. He's filled out a lot since he was
I don't think that was the right. I mean, only heavyweights can do this. And we've had this conversation before where certain fighters, they pack on weight because they want to stand and trade or, or they decide they want to box, so they come in lighter. For me, it very rarely works. They make a big thing. And I thought that was I could see why he done it because he knew that Fabio Wardley's going to stand centre of the ring, throw bombs, and and that extra 20 pounds can absorb that. So that's what he done.
Where's something about absorb? Remember, Wilder done it against Fury in the third fight, but a lot of his was muscle, though, wasn't it? Do you remember how big Wilder was on top?
Yeah. I don't think it's good for heavyweights to do that. I just think if no other weight can do it, so we can't compare because they've obviously got to make weight. Yeah, but this going up and down, in heavyweight boxing, I don't think really works. And I do feel that that's what Joseph Parker's team and the game plan was. And for me, the back end of the fight, he suffered for that. With that extra weight that he's not used to carrying, not used to fighting at. And we all know that Fabio Wardley, he can go he's carrying power all the way to the end. He stopped Justice Union round 11 after getting outboxed. He still carries that power and he's got some engine. For a big lad, he's got some engine, and
a chin as well.
Yeah, the chin. He wasn't rocked. Like I know people were sort of saying that.
No.
He wasn't staggered. On the other hand, Joseph Parker was, and what Fabio Wardley does it. He's got a fantastic right hand, and he looks for it all the time. It's a straight jab and over the top bang. But there were two times he wobbled Joseph Parker was with uppercuts that we've not seen before. And Joseph Parker's leg went from under him. Now in round 2 when he done it, and Ben Davison was kicking off after when the gum shield come out, and and it bought him some time. Fabio Wardley was going in for the kill at that point, and and he could have got an early stoppage there. So there was a little bit dark arts there, which makes for a great heavyweight fight, and adds to the story. But I thought it was a fantastic heavyweight fight. It really, really was. It did live up to the price tag that people paid. I think just for the main event. Like when you watch it back now, it was worth it. It was a good old heavyweight, like slugfest with two guys in there throwing bombs at each other, catching each other. And giving it all, and I'm with you. I had Parker slightly ahead. I felt that his work was the cleaner, crisper work, like the eye-catching shots. I saw that. We know what you're going to get with Fabio, but the finish at the end, I don't think. I had a little bit of a dog in the fight, and hopefully this week we'll find out why. But
So you're going straight into the stoppage now, yeah? So
we
justified or poor? Yeah.
I don't think it was as controversial as people are saying. I feel like Joseph Parker, in the way that he was on the ropes, gave the referee an option to jump in. Now, you know yourself, it's been counted. There was 36 unanswered punches in that melee of the stoppage. Yeah. Don't get me wrong. Not for 1 minute were they all landing. They were on the gloves. And they were skimming, and they were that. But he wasn't firing back. Now, when he's on the ropes and Fabio Wardley's pouring on, he could have tied him up. He could have done that sort of. Bought him a little bit of time, split it, gain some seconds, or took a knee. He didn't. But you know yourself. We've watched enough boxing that. Yeah. If you're putting yourselves on the rope and you're being you're not being teed off on, but you're taking punishment and you're not firing back, the referee can jump in. Now, listen, I can see it from sort of both sides, and I would love to have seen what happened, because if it would have carried on, I am intrigued in that, because Fabio Wardley poured everything on there, and you can see by the stoppage at the end there, he fell on the floor, had his trainer come in and jumped on him, which was a lovely moment and stuff like that. I would have liked to have seen what happened if it didn't get stopped, to see if he still had something left, because he was emptying the tank. But I do feel that Joseph Parker, and listen, don't get me wrong, he's an ex-world champion. He's been in these sort of situations before. He's got experience. He could have dealt with that slightly differently, so the stoppage didn't come. Now I see, I can see why people are saying it's controversial. I can, but it's for me, it's not like oh wow. No, that's a bad stoppage. I don't feel like that.
People were acting like that, though, weren't they? People were acting like that, yeah. I've got to be honest, Dave. When I watched it live, I thought it was legit. I thought it was because obviously when you're watching it, and he's throwing so many shots, you're guessing, or you think a lot of them are landing. It's not until you see the action replay, and a lot of them aren't landing. They're like skimming the top of his head. They're missing, or they're hitting the gloves. And Joseph Parker, you're right. He didn't really throw back. I think he threw about 2 or 3 back. He did land one.
You know what he did? You know what made sorry to jump in, Dave? You know what made it look even worse than that is that he threw one just as he was being stopped, and that looked like he was throwing back. But if you watch it as it's going, as he's heading towards the rope, because he's not on the ropes the whole time, he gets hit with a left hook, and then he steps back towards the ropes, and in there Fabio's throwing hooks left and right.
Oh, there's a barrage. Don't get me wrong. There's a barrage.
Yeah, but like I say, when you put yourself in that position, you're putting yourself. There's a chance you can get stopped, and that's the difference with it. And so it wasn't bad for me. But sorry, carry on, mate.
No, you're right. You're right. But when you mention him back taking a knee with his experience, again, I agree. But because a lot of them weren't landing, he probably felt that he didn't need to take the knee. He probably felt that. I don't know, he maybe wasn't expecting Howard Foster to jump in and stop it. Maybe because he'd been rocked in a second, he was kind of absorbing it as well to an extent. But I can see, like you, mate, I don't like to keep agreeing with you because it doesn't make great for a pod, but I do agree. I think, the stoppage possibly was justified. It's better to be a second early than a second too late. Do you know what I mean? Obviously, we know what Fabio Wardley's all about. He has got devastating power. The next shot could have been career-ending. Who knows? He had to make a decision. He made a decision. I know he's got form for it in the past, Foster. He's had some nightmares over the years. Joseph Parker, he didn't stop in the ring to talk about it. He was a little bit gutted. And then in his post-match presser, kind of said, look, it is what it is. He didn't seem to be kicking up a fuss. Andy Lee didn't seem to be kicking up a fuss. And that's what I go back to the game plan, mate. Maybe there's a conversation saying, well, look, we worked on this. You didn't do this. You went and had a brawl and it's kind of cost you. Yeah. So, yeah, I've seen worse stoppages, but I do kind of get it. But moving forward, mate, I mean, Usyk next. I mean, I don't think that fight's going to happen. I'll tell you for why. It's not so much Usyk wanted to defend the belt. He's used to Turkey money now. And I know he's always been about legacy. He's one of those Eastern European fighters that wants to clock up legacy rather than a pension pot. But he is a prize fighter. And you're hearing rumours of like 4, 5, 6 million for Usyk. He's just not going to take that when he's been used to get, the silk sheets and 50 million being paid into his bank account. So in that sense, I don't think the fight happens. If that is the case, and obviously I hope, and I'm a massive Usyk fan, as you know, mate, I hope if the fight is called and he refuses, that he either vacates or he's stripped. Yeah. Now, if it's a WBO, which I believe is a WBO, Fabio would be upgraded. And obviously it'd be upgraded to full champion, and the next in line would be Moses Tuma. Yeah. So 2 guys there working with Ben Davison. Will it happen? I think it'd be crazy for either of them to turn that fight down. Ben Davison would have to make a choice. You don't go from where Moses is, having an opportunity at 20 to fight for a world title, and same with Fabio Wardley. You need to sort it out because that opportunity is going to come, whether he be upgraded or he gets the Usyk fight. So yeah, exciting times. Forget Moses for a little bit, even though he's in the conversation, but really exciting times, mate, for Fabio Wardley. So originally my question is Usyk next for him?
I would love for the story and for where it's come from and everything that comes with it. I would love it. But on the flip side of that, we're talking Usyk here. Fabio Wardley's done fantastic, but this is, and he knows it himself, and his team will know it. This is something else. But
no, but I'm about the opportunity to fight for a world title.
Yeah, I'm unsure that. I know he can't. No, he wouldn't never turn it down. But I think that I'm with you. I would like to see the fight. I don't know if it does. I'm like Usyk's in that sort of bracket where he can pick and choose who he fights. Really, he's in that Canelo sort of bracket where he can pick and choose. He doesn't have to do anything that he's told. But I would love Fabio to have an opportunity to fight for a world title, whether it be Usyk or not. So if Usyk doesn't, like you said, if it doesn't happen, I would like the belts at least a belt to be fragmented so that he can get an opportunity to do it. Yeah. So I would like that. But also going back to the story of it, this isn't a true Rocky story. Everything that it is a film can be made of this. The way that it's gone on, Dylan White's picked him up, after 4 white collar fights and guided him, and he thanked him, which was great and lovely. And it's just a whole story, and like, the fans that he's going to get off the back of this as well will be amazing. People compare him to Nigel Benn. He's a heavyweight Nigel Benn. When he gets hurt, he starts swinging, and he is very much like that. It's like someone in a playground. You get punched, you punch back. Like you hit him back and all that. And that's very much the way he fights, and it's exciting. So
Parker fell for it, if you like. Got drawn into it. I didn't think he would.
Yeah, and it was an amazing story. It really, really is. And this is what I love about boxing, stuff like this. And I'm so excited to see what comes next. I'd love it to be Usyk. I'd love Usyk to go, come on then. Let's do it. Let's do it for all 4. All 5 if we're adding the ring. But
there's not enough money on the table, mate. Honestly, I don't think there's enough money for him. Unless Turkey comes in. But why would Turkey pay silly money to put Fabio Wardley against Usyk? I just can't see it. I don't think. No. I think the belts would be vacated, and I can see being upgraded, and Moses gets the call. I do. Yeah. I can see that's the way. So here's one. But before we move on to the undercard, mate, you love a story, as you said there. So you've got obviously Fabio Wardley in his white collar going for undisputed. That's the narrative. But is it a better story than the Josh Padley, mate? You like that one, don't you?
I do like the Josh Padley.
That's going for fight. He's fought for a world title in Saudi against Shakur Stevenson. Yeah, I mean, I know. What's the better story?
It's Rocky 1 and Rocky 2 for me. But this is what you need. Boxing needs this. This is what we need, and it's a fantastic story. And listen, fair play to Fabio Wardley. Like, he just keeps getting better and better. He's strong as an ox. I mean, his right hand is exciting because he can detonate it at any time. Like we haven't had that in Britain. We've had some fantastic fighters. Don't get me wrong, but someone with an absolute equalizer that can pull it out of nowhere. And he just keeps getting better and better, and he's defying the odds, and it's just a fantastic story, and I'm all in on it. I love it.
Snap, mate. Talking of stories, Ezra Taylor was on the undercard, mate. 13-0 now, 9 KOs. Took on Steve Woodall. It's supposed to be against Louis Edmonton. We said with Jay 2 weeks ago that this would probably be a better fight. I enjoyed this fight. The tower came in, mate, and was it round 9th round? The tower came in. Yeah. Ezra was, at the end of the day, he made Steve Woodall. We turned him into a little bit of a punch bag, but fair play to Steve Woodall, man. He came.
He was so tough, man.
Yeah, it was so tough. But it was the work from Ezra Taylor. I like this kid. It was clean. It was sharp. It was accurate. It was spiteful. He just wore him down. I mean, and to be fair again to Steve Woodall, as we said, mate, he was jumping up from 168. You could tell he's not a natural light heavyweight. Ezra Taylor's a lot bigger than him, a lot stronger, a lot faster. It was a good fight for what it was worth. Again, fair play, but I liked everything I saw from Ezra Taylor. I think this is the start of the journey for Taylor. Now, that light heavyweight division, not just in world boxing, but even just in the UK, as we spoke about it, when we kind of slating Ben Whittaker and seeing what options he's got. I can only think of exciting times. I can only think of exciting fights for Ezra Taylor. This is it now. And I put a thing on Twitter today. I think I tagged you in that as well. Him and Willie Hutchison having beef last weekend. He's got to Willie, and Willie's an entertainer. Yeah. So that's another great fight. But Ezra Taylor against Steve Woodall, mate. 10 out of 10 for me, for Ezra.
Yeah, I thought it was a really good fight. And, I'm with you. I think that it would end up being a better fight than the original one with Louis Edmonton. I think that it was great for Ezra Taylor to have an opponent like Steve Woodall. I think they complemented each other. I think on that stage on a big card, he came forward and Ezra, as much as he outclassed Steve Woodall, he had to work for it, and I think that was good for him. He wasn't going away. He was sitting on his chest, Steve Woodall. Too brave for his own good for me. Too brave for his own good, and but yeah, listen, it made for a really, really good fight, and. Ezra Taylor was going through the repertoire of all the shots when he hit him into the body, uppercut, looked slick, and exactly how we were calling it. Yeah, I do. But fair play to Steve Woodall. He done better than I thought he would do. To be honest with you, I knew he was tough.
Went longer. Yeah, it went longer than I thought it would.
Yeah. I knew he was tough, but he's proved to be a real tough opponent. But yeah, it was a slicker work. It was from Ezra Taylor. There was a difference in the fight. But yeah, Steve Woodall gave a really good account of himself and made a good fight of it. He was just Ezra's just better in all departments really, and Steve Woodall, the way that he fights, he comes forward. Ezra could look like he could put some shots together and look classy doing it, which we knew he could do anyway. So I was impressed with Ezra Taylor, and like I say, now he's. We talk about rocking the mic and stuff like. You see this sort of beef stuff with other fighters outside.
I love it.
It's all good for his profile and getting him out there and getting him big fights and that. And I'm all for it. But he's a talent, Ezra Taylor. We said that before this fight, and he's gone on and cemented that for me. He's got a lot.
Even with Malik Scott, he done okay.
Yeah, he did. When I was sort of reviewing him in the lead up to the fight, I was looking at his defense, and I think his defense was overrated. He didn't really need it as much because he's putting a lot of shots together and stuff. So he didn't really need it, and Steve Woodall was sort of loading up and trying to catch him and all that on the way in. But I like his defense, and he didn't really need to show it. But I think that's an underrated. Piece of underrated sort of thing that he's got that where he hasn't had to really show yet, but he's got a lot for me, mate, and he's going to be a problem in that division.
Oh, for sure. And at the weekend he was else. It was a Queensbury show. He's part of Queensbury, same as Willie Hutchinson. Them two kicking off, but he's calling for Lyndon Arthur. Now we'll speak about Lyndon Arthur in a bit after what he done at the weekend. But that's again, I just said, mate, in my opening gambit about this fight, the light heavyweight division in Britain is stacked.
Yeah,
and that's without the world contenders as well. It's stacked. There's so many good fights. I mean, Frank's got the heavyweight sewn up. He looks like he's got the light heavyweight sewn up. He could have a round robin tournament just with Queensbury. He doesn't need the rest, because Bivol and Beterbiev are doing what they're doing. So the belts are kind of out the way there. You could have a right old round robin.
Yeah,
the amount of talent that's available. Really, really good times. It's not just with Queensbury, but in Britain. And Ezra Taylor, he's going to go on to bigger and better things against who knows who next. But it's going to be a decent opponent. I can probably guarantee that with what Frank's got at Queensbury. Also on the card, mate, Royston Barney-Smith against Danny Quartermain. There was a couple of international bullshit belts on top here, ranking belts, if you like. So when the rankings go back out again with other sanctioning bodies, we'll see if Royston Barney-Smith will be in that top 15. He should be. I hope he is. Very easy work, I thought, for Barney, Dave. Controlled the fight from start to finish. That southpaw style, that jab. Danny Quartermain tried, but he was a level below. He was lunging in a lot. He was getting confused. He was getting caught on the way in. We hadn't seen too much of him, Mia and Jay said, but what we had seen of him, he looked okay. He was unbeaten. Very similar records. Barney-Smith, too big, too quick, better IQ. I like it again. Just wax lyrical about Ezra Taylor, mate. This guy's in the kind of same basket, if you like. I like everything I saw, and I thought it was very, very easy work for Barney.
I think like especially with Ezra Taylor and Royston Barney, I feel like they rose to the occasion, and and they really put their name up there, because we've seen Royston Barney-Smith out a few times and stuff, and we mentioned him, but I thought that was a really good performance from him, man. No, really punch perfect performance. It was one of them ones where he done everything well, and he looked classy and sharp doing it. And
Quartermain got to the point at one stage. He was getting so far. He just didn't know what to do.
Yeah.
Did he?
No. But everything he done was fantastic. Putting his shots together, up on his toes, boxing clever, catching him on the way in, and slipping side to side. It was almost like he was like wanting to steal the show. This is my night. This is what I felt that about him. And
saved by the bell as well. Sorry, Dave. Quartermain was saved by the bell in round 10.
Yeah,
he dropped him in round 10, and he got up, and obviously the bell saved him.
Yeah, exactly.
It could have got the stoppage if it went a bit longer,
Yeah, but like I say, for me, I wouldn't say breakout night, because I still think that it went against opponent or for a legit belt, we'd have that breakout night. But everything that that he needed to do for me, he done punch perfect for me, mate. I thought it was a really good performance. I come away from it thinking, wow, it's the first time. I mean, I've watched him before, but it's the first time I looked and I thought, yeah, he's a real good fighter, Royston Barney-Smith, and he's going to go places for me, man. I enjoyed that performance. When I was watching it, I was admiring what he was doing, and he's a big lad as well. He's tall for what he does. He doesn't, and the movement that he does, and stuff like that, doesn't look like he should be able to do that for a guy of his size. You know what I mean? It looks like he should be more, flat-footed, and but he's not. He's got a lot of movement. A lot of lateral
more robotic. Yeah, he's quite composed as well in his work.
He is. But for a big lad, you expect him to be like that. Like very, like you said, robotic. But he's not. He's got a lot of lateral movement, and for me, he's a really good fighter, man. And he put on a really good performance. It wasn't even close. He bossed it from round one. Bossed it from round one, mate. Yeah, he came out sharp and fast. It's almost like I say. For me, it felt like he wanted to steal the show, and he put on a really good performance, man.
I think it was it 100 to 98?
Yeah.
No, 100 to 90. I can't remember the score. I think two of the scores it was a whitewash anyway, Dave.
Yeah.
Obviously you had the knockdown there as well. So yeah, and as we said the other week, mate, unfortunately, I saw today on Twitter that I say unfortunately, it's good for Josh Padley that he's been vacated. He's been ordered to fight for the current or the vacant European title. I didn't realise Ryan Garner had vacated that belt for the super feather. I wanted this. The next step up for me, which me, you, and Jay said, would have been a Josh Padley. So we could be looking at a Reece Bellotti if Reece Bellotti, fancies it. Another name to step up because Frank's building this guy carefully. And what I saw on that Saturday night, he's more than capable of beating both those guys, and I'll stand on that because I wouldn't say he's a special talent. I wouldn't say he's an elite talent, but he's getting there. There's something about this kid. You think, wow, you're going to win. You're going to win a world title, not a version of it. You're going to win a world title. I like it. I like what I saw on this card. Again, as I said, it wasn't worth the £25 because it was a stack card. There was a lot of kids on there. But what I kind of meant in that, David, because it's behind two paywalls, it really technically it cost you 45 quid.
Yeah.
£25 on top of your £20 you pay for the zone. But yeah, it was good. And obviously, before we move over to Kyrgyzstan, if we really need to, Mitchell Smith, you and Jay spoke about Mitchell Smith and his comeback against Archie Dawson, mate. Impressive. He knocked Dawson down in the first round. Went on to win the fight.
Yeah, he did. Like I say, I've got a friend who knows him, and he's up the road from me. So I was chatting to him all week. So again, we talk about I got a dog in the fight. I had a dog in the fight, and yeah, he had. He's been out the ring for 10 years. He had problems in and out the ring. Got up to 18 stone. He looked fantastic. And then he had the start Dreams Are Made Of. Dropped him in the first round, but showed his experience through the fight for me. And it wasn't going to be done by this young lion. And now that world's his oyster again. He can hopefully get his career back on track, and the lost years that he's had, and go on and do great things. So it was a really good performance, and he showed his class. And this is what he was prior to all the stuff that went on. He had a bad night against Jupp. But he could have righted that wrong, but never got the opportunity. But back now, mate, and it was a fantastic win. I've spoken to my mate who's been chatting to him and that, and obviously he's buzzing. And great. So another great story.
Good performance. It was good performance.
Yeah, he's a really good fighter. He was, and he is. He's shown he's still got that. So great for him.
Let's hope he kicks on now, mate. Let me see more of him, especially on TV shows as well. So well done to Mitchell Smith. Right. I'm doing 2 in 1 here, Dave. John Riel Casimero and Lewis Neary over in Kyrgyzstan in front of about 5 people. Still can't understand this promotional company. Yes, it's Kamida's cousin or his brother. Obviously, Kamida was the opponent for John Riel Casimero that weekend, guys. We made our predictions. We all went for Casimero. Kamida is a good fighter, nothing more, nothing less. Casimero, the level he was at should have been enough to take care of Kamida. David was shit. I honestly, mate, I can't understand the guy. The situation we're in at the moment, with the amount of money that's floating about, the profile that he's got, the way that he fights, you think, Uncle Turkey doesn't just do heavyweight, he does every weight division. You think he'd kind of behaving himself and putting in performances and putting in shows and calling people out and to make kind of Turkey realise, well, let's get him on a show. He's, I know he's not a fan favourite in Philippine, but he's an eye turner. Do you know what I mean? He might get people watching him over in there. There's a narrative, there's a rhetoric you could use of Casimero. And obviously at that weekend, mate, there was a video going around of his brother saying they intended to lose that fight on purpose, whether it would be to make Lewis Neary think he's shit. but it was supposed to be a semi-final anyway. So the final was supposed to be Casimero versus Neary anyway. Has Casimero got in the ring with Neary after his fight? And there was obviously claims that there was some sort of rigged betting going on, alleged allegations. Mate, I don't know what's going on with this guy. I've got no idea what he was doing. But for an unanimous decision win against Kameda, and Kameda to actually win on points by boxing rather than coming forward and throwing shots, I can't work out what he's doing, where he's going. What was that?
It looks iffy, man. Like, you've seen all the stories coming out since this fight. You know, like, did he throw it and all? It looks iffy, man. Something that just isn't right. The whole show isn't right. The fight isn't right. I don't know, man. It all seems. I don't want to be liable for anything, but it seems iffy. The whole thing seems iffy, and the
country it's in.
Everything just doesn't seem right. It's Kameda's brother's promotion, like you say. He's gone and won on points, and probably rightly so, because Casimero was terrible.
Well, mate, it was all, sorry to interrupt, but it was all pointing, from what we understood as boxing fans, is this is a semi-final for Casimero, and Lewis Neary had his semi-final on the Sunday night in the same arena in front of about 5 people. But you look at the scores, and we moan and whinge and whine about judges and things like that. 99 to 92, 98 to 92, and 97 to 93, all for Kameda. Literally, it's true. That's what happened. And you could say, well, it's Kameda's family member, so maybe they're pointing in the side of it. Nobody's interested in Lewis Neary versus Kameda Part 2. We've already seen that. So this is why I don't. But the performance, is it because he's overweight? Is it because he's ill-disciplined? Is it because he doesn't want it anymore? Is it because he's 36? Is it because he's inactive? I don't know. But I don't, as I've written there in my banner, guys, no interest in Lewis Neary versus that version of Casimero. If it does happen, of course we're going to watch it because we're boxing fans. But I just don't get the performance.
Yeah,
it was odds-on favourite to go and do a job, not necessarily knock him out, but prove he's a level above Kameda. And he just proved that he's not that guy anymore. And it's a shame. It's a real shame.
He doesn't care. He doesn't care. He doesn't care. It was wherever he was getting paid, that was all it was for. He doesn't care if he wins, loses, or draws. And this is what we sort of say. We questioned what Casimero was going to turn up, and now we found it. And now we're just, he's not interested, so I'm not interested in him now. You know what I mean? There's nothing, like you said, there's no interest in that fight. I'm not really interested in what Casimero, because he's just, for me, he's just turned up now. The payday, whatever it was, and just sort of left. It was a shit performance. And like I say, and Jay called out Kameda for being shit, so you can imagine how bad Casimero was. But again, just on the flip side of Neary, yes, he won, but he weren't great either.
He wasn't great, but he was. There's nobody's questioning that he didn't win every round. It was his technicality, unfortunate accidental headbutt. But yeah, on a plus side with Neary, Dave, he kept to his side of the bargain. I'm with you. I don't want to see the Neary versus Casimero fight. If you go and have a look at the rankings, mate, he's number 1 with the WBO, Lewis Neary, and obviously the champion is Rafael Espinosa at featherweight. Yes, 6 foot versus 5'4", whatever it is. I'm more intrigued to see that one, another Mexican showdown, because we said about certain other fights. I mean, Marlon Tapales fought last week. He didn't know who he was fighting. He was fighting an 8-rounder, stopped this guy. When Inoue fucks off, and depending on what Nakatani does, whether he stays at super bantamweight or whatnot, this Lewis Neary and Marlon, they've still got something to offer. So I still think that Lewis Neary's legit. Even though he wasn't great, he done what he needed to do. No one's going around, right, I know it stopped in a technicality, but did he really win that fight? Yes, he did. His heart was above his opponent. But it's kind of a little bit disappointing. More from Casimero rather than Neary. I've got no problem with Neary, really.
The thing is, I'm sort of rolling back the years where this would have been a great fight, a super fight, Neary versus Casimero. So the way we're talking about it now, I'm thinking, I can't be arsed with Casimero. Neary, Neary's better. And and a better performance, but again, he wasn't great. So, what Neary have we got left with him? I'll be questioning that when he's out again. What version of Neary is left? Not to the point of Casimero, because Casimiro's out in another stratosphere, as far as I'm concerned, with not being bothered. Like you said, he's so on social media, very controversial. Doesn't really care. He's the Adrian Broner of that. That way.
But I kind of disagree with you a little bit, mate, in the sense of the Neary thing, because if you kind of use Kameda as the barometer for Casimero and Neary, Neary done a job on Kameda. It was kind of chalk and cheese. This is what we was talking about, the levels. Casimero should have been too good for Kameda, and it was the opposite. So I honestly, I do think, I get what you're saying, because he wasn't great 2 weeks ago, but he was more than enough to to beat opponents. I honestly, I do believe there's enough there for him to go and win a world title again. Whether that be at featherweight, I don't know. Whether he can carry the power up there. Is he too small? But if he was to drop back to super bantamweight, and Nue's gone from that division, I definitely think he's got a lot more to offer.
So I'm with you there. I'm with you to a point. I'm still going to question what he's got left, but I honestly don't think at featherweight. I don't think he could. I think the guys are there too big for him.
Yeah.
Like you mentioned there, if he does drop back down and Inoue's not about, I still think he could be a problem at that weight. But I'm still questioning what he's got left. But yeah, it depends on what weight he's going to campaign at. I don't think featherweight would be for him.
Yeah. Do you think we'll see a few more events in Kyrgyzstan or Kyrgyzstan?
Probably not now. Off the back of that, it was awful.
To this time, I can't work it out. There's a few iffy claims going about. They kind of make sense, but
that's what I've been looking at. Them iffy claims there. There's a lot been thrown at Casimero, and knowing him, it would be true.
This week's boxing, well, the week's just gone, mate. We didn't make any predictions because we didn't do a show, but there was a bit going on. Mikeala Mayer was out in in Montreal, Canada. Obviously, still a top-ranked fighter. This was on this fight against Mary Spencer, Dave, was on a Thursday night on Pluto TV on a channel called ESPN Boxing Classics. Now, it was available for everybody to watch for free. It's quite hard to get hold of though and find the channel, but obviously Top Rank haven't got a TV deal, but their fights are still active. So I don't know what's going on pay-wise with them, and God knows. But she was out up at a different weight, mate. She became a 3-weight world champion on Thursday night. She stepped up to super welter to take on Mary Spencer. Again, the gap. I mean, Mary Spencer was the glamour girl years ago. I mean, she's in her 40s now, mate. Early 40s. She was the glamour girl of US boxing, especially on the amateur scene, the Olympic scene, until the Grope came over and nobody kind of cares anymore for Mary Spencer, which is a shame. Yeah. But Mikeala Mayer, we've covered loads of her fights. We were fans of her before we even done this podcast, and even her stepping up to a new weight class. Levels above, just levels above. The girls, they're elite, nothing in between, and poor, as we normally say, mate. And obviously the girls coming through too quick. The output's ridiculous. She was actually really spiteful as well. I thought she was going to stop Spencer late on. She controlled the fight from start to finish, controlled the distance. Thought she was brilliant. I thought she was absolutely brilliant on Thursday night, Dave.
Yeah, I'm with you. Like I say, we've always spoken about Mikeala Mayer's boxing being she puts her shots together well. She combinations. Very, very good. And, Sandy Ryan found that out for me. I didn't think Spencer was as bad of an opponent as we've seen for world title fights. She was outclassed by a much better Mayer, and that's okay. But she was trying to counter on the way in, and some of the shots she was trying to throw showed a little bit of class. Listen, you can always lose to a better fighter, and that's all right. But like what you've just sort of said there, where it's elite and then it's poor. I wouldn't put her as poor. I felt like
she's world level.
I wouldn't.
Gatekeeper.
She's better than some of the opponents we've seen for some of these women that are fighting for legit titles. I'll put it that way. Now, I'm not for 1 minute saying she's world class or world beater, but she wasn't the worst opponent. When I was watching that fight, I thought she isn't the worst opponent I've seen. She was firing back with some decent quality shots. She
had her moments, but for me, it wasn't enough to win the round.
Oh no. She didn't win the fight or any round. No. But what I'm sort of saying is some of the work that she was trying to counter with Mikeala Mayer and caught her with a couple of uppercuts.
She did.
That's some of the opponents that we see in other women's fights, you don't see that kind of work. They're nowhere near legit world. So some of the little things that she done, I just thought, she's not the worst opponent I've seen. But again, Mikeala Mayer shone through. Like I say, I love her combination work that she does.
She's a smaller girl. Sorry, Dave. Yeah. She was a smaller girl for a change. You normally see Mikeala's quite tall. So she kind of looks down on her opponents. She had to look up this time. So I was impressed with.
I know. I was as well. Like I say, I love her boxing and what she does. Anyway, she's got fast feet, fast hands. She throws really good combinations, and her output. Lots of output. And she did that, and she was great with it. Like I say, she got caught with a few shots on the way in, a few counters, and that's what Spencer was looking for. And I liked that from her. It did make her think a little bit, but she did pour forward, and she won every round, and she, and deservedly so. But Mikeala Mayer's a really good fighter, and she's proved it. And and now she's a 3-time world champion.
She's a 3-weight world champion, you're right, and that was actually a unification fight because Cecilia Breakhouse is now obviously the first lady of boxing. She vacated her titles, and now she's officially retired. So they were made vacant. So obviously Mary Spencer had the WBA. So Mikeala Mayer won all 3. So I've written there in the banner, Dave, 2-weight undisputed pending for Mayer, because obviously Mayer's the champion at 154 with 3 belts, and she's obviously the WBO champion at 147. And certain Miss Lauren Price has got the other 3 belts. So she's in a great position here, Mikeala Mayer. The opportunity for her next year is to fight for undisputed at 154 and to fight for undisputed at 147. I mean, she's in a great position to do that. Don't get me wrong. I still think Lauren Price is the girl, and I'll stand by that. When we do our review at the end of the year and we talk about performances, I know it's a long time ago in terms of beginning of the year, and I know the women's, apart from us and a few other boxing podcasts, the girls don't get a lot of love. But Lauren Price against Natasha Jonas back in early in the year was one of the best performances I've seen from a boxer per se, let alone whether it's male or female.
Yeah,
she's been out nearly a year now, so she needs.
That's the worry. That's what I was going to say there. That's the concern.
Like, but they're the fights to make. The undisputed fights for Mikeala may go next year.
Do you know what will be Lauren Price's downfall? Inactivity. Because by the time she gets a fight, she'll be in with an opponent like Mikeala Mayer, who fights 2-3 times a year. And then what? She'll have ring rust and all that sort of stuff. Yeah. They're not active enough, and that'll be their downfall. You know, an active Lauren Price is a fucking problem. But see if she fights once in 18 months, she could be beaten purely for the fact that she hasn't had, and that's the worry. I don't know. It's a shit show when it comes to women's boxing in Britain. It really is.
You're right, 100%. And she's also got the option before she retires. I think Mikeala's mid-30s now, mate. She's closer to 40 than she is to 30. Don't get me wrong, but obviously the Baumgardner defeat and the Natasha Jonas defeat. I know Jonas is on the way out, really, but they were 2 close fights that are debated to this day whether Baumgardner and Jonas won. I personally thought Mikeala did beat Jonas. Baumgardner's a lot more closer, but there's options there for her to right the wrong as well, to avenge those defeats. So I think she's in a really, really good place, Mikeala Mayer, in terms of fights available for her. So yeah, I'm pleased for her. I've always been a fan. I like what I see from her. She proved she was better against Sandy Ryan, even though we've got a lot of love for Sandy. So yeah, the future's bright, I think, for Mikeala, and hopefully Top Rank, she stays with even if she doesn't stay with Top Rank, mate, she goes to another promotional company. There's fights available for her, so I am pleased. I am pleased for Mikeala. So well done, her. Right, let's jump into Saturday night, mate, over in the UK. Saturday night at the Co-op in Manchester. Joshua Buatsi, Dave, his Queensbury debut. So it's coming over from Boxer. The main event over 10 rounds live on the Zone, a channel that he didn't want to go to at one stage when he was with Matchroom. I like Josh. I do like Joshua Buatsi. He fails to deceive at times. We've seen him in some performances. You went to see him live against Dan Aziz and you were spot on. He kind of held Dan Aziz up, if you like. It showed it was at a level. He got in the ring with Callum Smith, 50-50 on paper. Obviously, Callum Smith coming off that Better BF defeat. Nobody really knew what had taken out of him. Probably one of the fights of the year. Joshua Buatsi got beat, but no shame taken out of that. And obviously on Saturday night, mate, was the Callum Smith fight, did it take too much out of him? Or was this tailor-made for him to kind of show how good he is against Zach Parker, who, me personally, we haven't really spoke about this, has done nothing to impress me since he lost to John Ryder. Yes, he lost to John Ryder. He broke his hand, all that kind of thing. He was supposed to be the next big thing in the UK at 168. He's gone on to win fights since, but he's looked very laboured. He's looked boring. He just hasn't looked that guy. And I've written there in the banner, mate, Zach Parker robbed with question mark, because that's what's going around in the boxing community. Yeah. Now, rob's a big word. And I text you. I know you didn't see the message to the Sunday because you're out and about. But I watched it live, and I watched I watched the main of the whole card live, and we will speak about other fights. I don't know if rob's the right word, Dave, but I definitely don't think Joshua Buatsi won that fight.
No, like I say, you got to be very careful about slinging around robbed. Listen, it's a bad decision, I would say. Robbed is a thing. We've seen some real bad robberies. I wouldn't put that in this bracket, but I do believe Zach Parker won the fight. I thought he was a better fight all around. Yeah. I think it was. I feel like Joshua Buatsi was a laboured performance. I feel like he was throwing out a lazy jab. Everything seemed to be very slow and coming to whereas Zach Parker came out fast, sharp. That was coming off a defeat. That for me, that was Zach Parker's best performance. Again, we talk about earlier on when I was talking about fighters, raising their game on a card. I felt like Zach Parker rose to the occasion in here, and I've mentioned bamboozled before, where I don't think that Buatsi realised how good Zach Parker was, and I think he struggled to adjust in the fight, and then by then, the fight was getting away from him. But Zach Parker beat him to the punch. He was faster. He seemed fitter, and
he was switching. He started with the back foot.
Yeah, he was, and in the end, Buatsi wasn't closing the ring off. He was following him around the ring. And in doing that, he was being picked off on the way in. I thought I was so impressed with Zach Parker. And like, I know we talk about breakout nights and stuff like that, and it's difficult to say it's a breakout night because he hasn't got the decision. But had he got the decision, people were then talking about Zach Parker as I feel that we don't talk about Rob, but I feel that was robbed from him.
Yeah.
In the wording, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was a close. It was a close-ish fight for me. I feel like Zach Parker won it by a few rounds, but I'm not talking about your Josh Taylor, Jack Catchell sort of situations, or your Shaki Foster sort of stuff. It was a close fight, but a close-ish fight for me. But Rob's a strong word, but Zach Parker won the fight. But I do feel like we have these sort of times where coming off a defeat, you almost win. I feel like Zach Parker's going to go on to do well from this, and he might kick on. Blessing in disguise is probably the wrong sort of situation for this, because I feel that he won, and if it hadn't had he won, you're talking about Callum Smiths. Then you're putting him in. You're talking about Anthony Yards. There's a lot of names conversation. Yeah. But I feel like the performance warrants a big fight for him, and I do feel like, even though he hasn't got the decision here, I do feel like it probably will kickstart his career, because I'm with you. Going into this, I've never been sort of sold by him. He's had a few.
I was pre-Ryder, and after that, I've gone. Nah,
yeah,
he's not what I thought he was.
No, we've reviewed a few of his fights, and we wasn't, we wasn't really, like you said, he laboured performance. Maybe he needs an opponent like a Buatsi to be motivated and show his best. And I feel like he did that. And I do. It is, based on that performance, it does seem harsh, because I don't see where Buatsi chalks up the rounds to get the decision. I honestly don't see it.
I can't work out. We've seen this before from Buatsi.
Yeah.
Some of his, before he left Matchroom, some of his fights, and he normally pulls it out the bag. He does enough back end or he gets a stoppage, but he was walking in straight lines on Saturday night. Day. That's not the Josh Buatsi, the Olympian with the guy that's got the fundamentals that was supposed to kick on and be the best thing since Anthony Joshua. I don't know what was the matter with him. Honestly, I was disappointed in him. Even though I said we have seen this version of him before. But it was tailor-made for him to make a statement on Saturday night with Frank under Queensberry on the main event on TV against Zach Parker, who I've made a claim on here, if he didn't do anything or he got stopped, that maybe his Queensberry days would be behind him, because he's not really delivering what was expected of him. Yeah. But it's kind of flipped a little bit, and I'm just more confused with Josh. I mean, Josh said in his interview after about Zach Parker constantly falling to the floor and things like that, which he did. I don't get why he was doing that, whether he was tired or not. I mean, Buatsi had his moments, but not enough of them to me. I watched it back today, mate, when I was doing my notes, and I can probably stretch to a 95 draw, but that's just me being generous to Josh. I genuinely thought he lost the fight, mate. I do. Yeah. And even Frank, don't get me wrong, Frank just signed Josh, so he's expecting big things for him. Another addition to the light heavyweight Queensberry stable. But even he was having a moan up, saying, "What are the judges watching?" Even he was kind of backing Zach Parker, and he's got loyalty to both of them. They're both Queensberry boys. Yeah. So it wasn't a great fight either, which doesn't help.
No,
Zach Parker done more than enough for me to win that. He really did. And I feel a bit sorry for him.
Yeah, I just felt that Josh Buatsi, he stayed at one pace. He's very one-paced, one-dimensional, and very slow and cumbersome.
Probably one of the worst performances I've ever seen of him.
And then you talk about what maybe are taken out of him. It looked like there was a lot taken out of him. It was one of the worst performances I've seen from him. But like Jay, we're back to talking about judging again, and when in Britain, we haven't got British boxing isn't in a great place at the moment, and the eyes that are on it are always being marred by poor judging, or what we deem to be poor judging, and it's not doing us any favors when it comes to British boxing at the minute, because I say it's the lowest it's been, and we need the judging to be better. Now again, robbery's strong, but for me they got the decision wrong. Everything that Zach Parker was the more busier fighter for me. He had more output, he had more movement, like you said, he was switch hitting.
He's better at everything. Everything you can mention, he was better than him.
Yeah.
Even his feet. His feet are weird. Walking straight. Josh Buatsi doesn't walk in straight lines.
No.
I'm more concerned with his feet. What was he doing?
Yeah. I don't... He got frustrated and he was just following him around the ring. And it's playing into Zach Parker's hands. So, yeah, it's shit. It's a shit decision. And I say, and I don't really, I'm sick of talking about judges, to be honest. Zach Parker should be walking away with a really good scalp on his record there. And he's not now. But based on that performance and the base of the way people reacted, he should get an opportunity off the back of that because he didn't deserve it.
He should. Yeah. I don't know if he will, though. He'll get more work. Of course he will. But the opportunities you're talking about, I think even Joshua Buatsi, even though after that poor performance and he got the win, he still got the win, didn't he? You know,
they want to make Yard Buatsi, didn't they? Because no matter what,
Yard would be licking his lips watching that, licking his fucking lips.
Because Yard, regardless of whether he wins or loses against Benavidez, the Buatsi fight is still there. So I feel that that's probably that's what they're aiming for, and Zach Parker doesn't fall into that. So I'm not for 1 minute suggesting that that it was put that way, but that's the fight they want. So it all leans to that.
Yeah, yes, it does, mate. This was more like a light heavyweight night at Cruiserweight. I don't know what the show was called, but it probably would have had a light heavyweight kind of alias to it. Lyndon Arthur versus Brad Ray for the European belt. We saw Brad Ray against Shakan Pitters early on in the year on the GBM card. Fantastic fight. They eventually got it done, and Brad Ray came away with the win. Looking at the bookies odds, Brad Ray was a slight favourite going into this, which I was quite shocked by, to be honest, because obviously Lyndon Arthur's fought at a higher level. I know Brad Ray was the champion, so maybe they've edged it on this. But this to me was fight of the weekend. I loved watching this. Lyndon Arthur is a weird one. He frustrates me at times. He's so frustrating as a fighter because he's another guy who's got a beautiful jab. He's got a strange jab, but it's very effective at what he does when he uses it, when he can be bothered to use it. Maybe it's another terminology we can use, Dave, that he fights to the level of the opponent. Yeah. We're coming into this fight. I know I've done my notes, and I was kind of thinking, do we see the version of Lyndon Arthur we saw in the Yard first fight, or do we see the Lyndon Arthur we saw against Liam Cameron, the kind of just done enough, got away one, if you like? And watching this, Brad Ray, start of the fight, I mean, he was well up for it. You're not going to take my European title away from me. I'm here. I'm the champ. I'm going to go on to bigger, better things. I'm part of this light heavyweight scene now. Let's fucking go. Landed a beautiful shot in a second, put him down. I'm like, wow, this kid ain't fucking about now. He's been poo-pooed on by a boxer. He's been fighting on Izzy Aziz shows. Fair play to him. Now he's making a statement, on DAZN. Let's fucking go. Yeah. And he was in the ascendancy, man. And then Lyndon Arthur must have had a light bulb moment. Round 6. It was class. Yeah. Absolutely. His boxing was fucking class. That's the best version I've seen Lyndon Arthur. The lateral movement, the feints, the uppercuts, that jab could not miss. He slowed Brad Ray down. Yeah. By losing probably the majority of the early rounds, getting knocked down, I thought he was done. Yeah. But he boxed clever. He boxed perfect. That was beautiful for Lyndon Arthur. And when he's on form like that, Dave, and when he can be bothered like that, because he was fighting like that against Anthony Yard, the third fight until he switched off. Is another problem when he's on form like that in a light heavyweight division. Yeah. I'm pleased for him because when he got knocked down, I thought, this is it. Lyndon Arthur's done now. We've seen it. He's fought at a level. He's, Bibble's a different kettle of fish. Yard, he kind of switches off. Nah, fair play to Brad Ray. I was so impressed what I saw. He's beautiful. Putting a little bit of a clinique, Dave. 6-12, a clinique. Very, very impressed with Lyndon Arthur back in, second half of the fight. Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant.
Also, I want to add there as well, that knockdown was hefty. He went down hard. Yeah. And I thought, this is it. And the fact that it was quite late in the round, wasn't it? But
he took the knee and he got up at 8.
Yeah, experience. He did. And I thought this is it now because sometimes he can stink the place out, Lyndon Arthur. You think, come on.
Yeah, he does.
Because we have seen, like you said, mentioned some of the performances that he's been in, and you think he has got that in him. And then all of a sudden, the second half, it might have taken him a couple of rounds to get his head back in. But all of a sudden, when he did, oh my God, his combinations were unreal, and they were so clean and crisp. And I was thinking, oh my God, I couldn't believe what I was watching. And then all of a sudden he was going through the gears in the later rounds. Yeah. It was amazing to watch. And by poor Brad Ray must have thought, I've got him here. And then all of a sudden he's got this guy that's coming on strong later in the rounds, putting shots together beautifully, catching him clean. And just again, we talk about Rocky stories. That's almost like what Rocky does. Do you know what I mean? He gets knocked down, looks like he's out, and all of a sudden Mickey's in his ear, and he goes on and puts on like something like that. It was amazing to watch. It was amazing fun. And fair play to Brad Ray because it takes 2 to tango. and he came out quick, and he, like you said, I'm the champ, and he did.
Yeah.
And he put it on Lindau, and he could, on another day, no one gets up from that shot. So
I thought it was over because he smelt blood after he got up.
Yeah.
And in the third round, he still come out looking for him. I thought it was over, honestly. Yeah. I'm so impressed. We've never kind of really poo-pooed Lyndon Arthur. We've obviously critiqued him, and he does frustrate at times. But when he not just when he boxes, but if you throw more output, what he was doing in the second half of that fight, mate, he is good. He is good, but we haven't seen enough of it. It's such a shame. I mean, what's he now? 33, 34? Yeah, he's got a couple of years. Do it again. Let's see it again. You're in the light heavyweight mix. You're fighting on Queensbury shows. I'm not sure if he's with Queensbury, but Frankie will be looking at thinking, that's interesting. I've got the European, he's just won the European title. Ezra Taylor, Willie Hutchinson, they'll be looking at you.
Yeah.
I don't know. I like what I saw.
Listen, I'm hoping that second half of the fight is a style he's going to come with now, because you see, if it was, it'd be a fan favourite fighting that way. You know what I mean? Because people are talking about him now. Of wow, what a second half of the fight that was, and the shots he put together were fantastic. And I was super impressed. It was the first time I was watching him. I'm thinking, wow, who's this guy? But obviously we've seen what he can do previously, and so I'm very whoa, let's calm ourselves down, because we can knowing him, his neck's out, and you've been thinking, right, this is now, and then he'll put on a show where it's a lazy jab again, and it's all slow and it's tying up and it's all that. Whereas he was great on the front foot in the second half of that fight against Bradley Ray.
Brad Ray did tire himself out. He did punch himself out.
He did. And you can see why, though, Dave. You can see why, because like you said, he smelt blood there. That knockdown, anyone in their right mind, I think, let's go for the kill here, because he did go down hard. It weren't like a flash knockdown. It was one there. I've got him here. So, I don't blame him for emptying the tank to try and get the stoppage, really. So I'm not surprised that later in the fight he was shot. I really not. And sometimes we talk about blessing in disguise. But
for me, we normally, when you see fighters turn fights around, not a lot of times, but sometimes it's through hard work, guts, desire, cojones, wanting it. Lyndon Arthur turned it around with skills.
Yeah,
that's what impressed me. He went back to his boxing, and when I say went back to his boxing, we've seen him do things like that again against lesser opponents. But I was just in awe watching that, to how he turned it around, and how he wasn't missing the trap setting, the feints, making the lateral movement, making Bradley Ray miss with lots of shots, the counter punching, the combinations. It was perfect. It was near perfect.
For me, for round 6, his head cleared, and he was switched on then, and he was really, really good. Like I said, we talk about like bests. Them 6 rounds probably one of the best I've seen from him.
Mate, again, we'll go back to the Ben Whittaker, the superstar. Eddie will put nowhere near that version of Lyndon Arthur.
No way.
Now he's trying to kind of go a certain route, so if he can get the European, and obviously works well with the WBC, gets him a high ranking. If Lyndon Arthur started the place out and got the victory, like we just saw kind of with Joshua Buatsi, Eddie and Ben were going, do you know what? I know we're not going down the British route, but that version of Lyndon Arthur now is washed. He's done. You can beat him.
Yeah. If Bradley Ray stops him in round 2, he's 100% Ben Whittaker's next opponent.
Oh yeah, even without the European, he's a name, isn't he? He's a name on the CV.
100%, because they'll be like, right, he's got his shot to bits now. He's been in with Lyndon Arthur, he's been in with Bivol. That's good. That's a good one to put on there. People won't moan at that, and they wouldn't. If he went Lyndon Arthur versus, if they announced Lyndon Arthur as Ben Whittaker's next opponent, just gone, people wouldn't really be up in arms about it, because we know him, you know what I mean? But if he just come off a 2-round defeat to Bradley Ray, people will be like, right, you know exactly what they're trying to do. And now they've seen what he's done in the second half of their fight. They probably think, hang on, we'll give him a couple more before he's not completely gone yet.
No, I agree. And don't be surprised with Bradley Ray, mate, if we see him back on a Queensbury show.
Oh, absolutely.
Someone like we just spoke about, Zach Parker. He'll end up fighting Zach Parker for some sort of bullshit eliminator on an undercard, at Queensbury. So he'll get more work. I like what I saw of it with Ray.
Yeah,
so,
that wasn't a bad performance of Bradley Ray either. It really wasn't. Like I say, he was good in the first half of the fight, but he was outclassed in the second half of the fight. It happens.
Basically what it was, mate.
Yeah.
We just spoke there about Joshua Buatsi and Zach Parker. Robbery was the term being used on social media along with the boxing community. And it's the same word being used here, Dave. Liam Cameron against Troy Jones. Again, another silly WBA bollocks belt on the line here. Robbery is the word being cried. Unanimous decision win for Liam Cameron, mate. Do I think it was a robbery? Again, the same kind of narrative. No, I don't. But I maintain what I said with Zach Parker.
I thought Troy Jones won the fight.
Yeah.
Liam Cameron came on strong in the last 3 rounds, and I could see what he was doing. What he does, he tucks up well, he sits on your chest, and he gets you to kind of punch yourself out and tries to take you late. I get it. But whilst doing that, Dave, Troy Jones is throwing, there's output, there's clean and effective work. You might not be hurting Liam Cameron, but you're losing the rounds.
Yeah.
So I didn't find this a robbery, but I can't even kind of stretch to a draw. I thought Liam Cameron lost, and that was the kind of vibe, not just by people like us, but paid pundits in the game as well, saying, don't get me wrong, everyone loves Liam Cameron. They enjoyed the ride of him, especially what happened with Ben Whittaker. He was screwed. Frank took him, gave him a fight deal and things like that. He is a hard night's work. Again, he didn't win for me, Dave. Troy Jones did more than enough to win that fight on Saturday night.
He did, like I say, and you speak about there him being on your chest. He was getting caught on the inside. He was trying to do that, but he was getting and Troy Jones had worked that out. And I'm with you. It was again, I don't want to sling around the word robbery, but what worries me is that people are being influenced by stories or influenced by narratives.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Sometimes it does feel like that. And again, Troy Jones has come out of nowhere. What did that win there would have done for his life? So that it affects people's lives, the things like this. I just want them to be scored fairly. I know it's subjective, and I know it is because, but they're looking at different things. But and we're going to talk
That's half the problem, isn't it, Dave? That's half the problem, looking at different things.
Yeah.
WBA belt, sorry, in their manifesto, it says, or their itinerary, it says they can judge a fight on sportsmanship. So, I mean, what do you do with that?
But like I say, and the thing is, and because Liam Cameron does come forward, people are looking at it and thinking, well, are they scoring it on pressure? There might not be any output. There might not be any work in that. You're getting caught on the way in, you're getting caught on the inside, but you're pressing the fight. So are you winning it because you're doing that? It's difficult to know because the judges don't get called out on it. Judges, they should be able to turn around and go, because at least if you could turn around, because if you're going to put a score like that, you should be able to tell them why. If you ask me and you to score a fight, for instance, and I give 6 rounds to 3 or whatever else, I'll be able to go to you. I scored it this because this, and this in that round.
X, Y, and Z, yeah.
And if you can do that, and it's being subjective, no one can really say if you're right or wrong. You've explained why you scored it. Do you know what I mean? It's something's not right. But like I say, like Troy Jones, I didn't know of him up to this point. But you know what I mean? On a decent enough show there, on primetime TV. That win can change his life. I know I'm not saying that Cameron is a world beater. He's not, but people know him and he's a name. That it can change things for people. And for me, I just want it to be done right. Listen. Yes, we've got our favourites, but if you lose, you lose.
Yeah, and it looks like we both think the same way. I've got to be honest. Liam Cameron, he's an horrible opponent, isn't he? He's a shit. It won't flush. He won't go away. I know Ben Whittaker stopped him in their second fight. He landed a temple shot. And, it is what it is. But he is a hard night's work. But
he is, and he's a likable character.
Yeah,
he is a likable guy. But that shouldn't be enough for you to win a fight.
No,
win the fight by winning the fight.
Point. Yeah. That's my point. That's the point. And again, mate, he's a name. He's a name. He's another light heavyweight in the Queensberry stable, whether you want to call him British, English level, a gatekeeper at that level, if you like. He is a hard night's work to get rid of. It's just you can win rounds against him, like Mevio elaborated. So Troy Jones won the majority of the rounds by his output and his clean work. But the
body
output
work,
wasn't there.
Lots of his body, but it was eye-catching shots from him. You could see his work from a mile away, and that's why I struggled to give Liam Cameron rounds in this fight. I
gave him the back 3. I gave him back. He started the back 8, 9, and 10. He kind of gave himself some distance and started boxing. He started learning some really good shots, effective shots as well. He started to kind of be a little bit more aggressive, set his shots up well. I thought, I'll see what he's doing now. He's trying to wear his opponent out and then take him late. But just those 3 rounds weren't enough. They just weren't enough to win the fight. But it's not the first time we speak about this kind of scoring. It won't be the last time, mate. But just quickly before we move over to the States, I want your thoughts. Obviously, we spoke about Chris Eubank Jr. earlier. There was a fight on this card between Billy Denise and Ezra Aranyenka. I didn't know if you saw in the presser during the week, Aranyenka done a bad impression of Chris Eubank Jr. by smashing or tried to smash an egg in Denise's face. He went on to lose the fight as it was. We've seen Aranyenka is a bit of a character. He was the one that headbutted Ben Whittaker in there.
When he walked him to the corner and then he stuck the nut on him.
That's the guy. But my point is, mate, he's done exactly what Chris Eubank Jr. has done. Now, I guess I get the purses aren't the same in this fight.
and win obviously Ben against Eubank. But surely he's got to get the same punishment, Dave. We're talking about he's talking about being fair and doing things the right way. I don't expect him to fine him £100,000. He should be, because it's the same crime. But surely they've got to punish him for doing that. You can't punish one and not the other. Come on.
Well, I was going to say, if he was going to charge him £100,000, he's going to have to fight 3 more times to pay that off.
But basically, So we guess it. We know it's not going to be that amount, but
listen, what's good for the goose is good for the gander, isn't it? You can't listen. If you're going to, it's like me stabbing someone, and you stabbing someone. We're going to prison for the same time.
Yeah,
and it's the same thing, isn't it? So just because he doesn't earn as much, or he's not a big enough name, doesn't mean that they get away with it. So yes, have the book thrown to him like Chris Eubank.
But the thing is, though, you're a millionaire, so you'll be able to pay the bail. So I'm a pauper, so I wouldn't be able to.
Well, I'm definitely not a millionaire. Just had to pay £800 for my teeth. But yeah, like I say, you do the time, you got to do the crime. Yeah, but like I say, I did see that fight, and Emelianenko, he announced himself by shouting at Ben Whittaker in a press conference and got himself a fight, which is, you got to put yourself out there. But I did see the fight, and he's not great. He sort of does this sort of wild over thing, but and he's really low in what he does. He's not a great fighter, and he lost to a Turkish guy.
Yeah, but back to the egg gate, if you like, same punishment, surely. Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah, well, of course it is. Yeah.
Well, we'll see what happens to that. We know what the British boxing body control are like, so don't want anybody to get fined or punished. Really, they're all sportsmen. They're all looking, to make a name for themselves. They're all looking to earn and feed their families. But you can't fine Chris Eubank Jr. and not him for the same crime. Anyway, let's go over to Orlando, Florida. We're coming to the end now, guys. Jordan Thompson versus one of the Pero brothers. This was Lenier. Me and Dave have reviewed both Pero brothers. They're supposed to be the Cuban Klitschko's. Not for me. But again, Jordan Thompson, mate, this was a step up for him. Haven't seen him in 2 years. Last time we saw him was against Jai Bataya. I mean, that seems like a lifetime ago.
Yeah.
Been out of the ring a long time. I don't know what for, but obviously he's dipping his toe now in heavyweight. Even though I'm not a massive Pero fan, either of the brothers, he's gone in with the older southpaw, if you like. So it's a big jump up. Really, he's world ranked quite highly. He's number 2 behind Moses Atuma with the WBA, mate. But he looks the part now. He's a big guy. He's got a big torso. He looks ripped. He looks fantastic. But watching that on Saturday, well, watch it Sunday morning, mate, when I got in from work, I just don't understand what he was doing, the game plan. And I'll explain to you what I mean, guys. So the last round, but I think it was round 9, he got rocked by Pero. And going into the last one, his trainer said, according to the comms, just don't engage. Now, if you're going over to America looking to make a statement on your heavyweight debut against a world-ranked opponent, and you're clearly losing the fight. I mean, I don't know what his trainers are saying. He lost every round. He was dreadful. Yeah. There was no output for him whatsoever. Yeah, he was smirking. Forward. He was making, walks forward and straight, like making silly faces. Yeah. I didn't get it. But if you're not going to engage when you should be behind on the card, what are you doing? I mean, what was I've written there, mate. What was the game plan? Yeah. I just didn't get it. Pero done what Pero does as a southpaw, an a stellar amateur. Comes forward, catching you on the way in, jab, hook, jab, hook, score. Got it, won every round for me. But I didn't get what Jordan Thompson was trying to do, and he got caught with a few silly shots. Was rocked, was hurt, had to hold on. For his trainer to kind of say, "Look, don't engage in the last round," more or less saying, "You've got this in the bag, so don't be silly." He was nowhere near winning that fight. Nowhere near, man.
It's either that or don't get stopped, because that's a win for you. Do you understand what I mean? You know what I mean? He'll get more work as a heavyweight if he doesn't get stopped here. But I didn't understand. I never realised how big he was. 6'6". Like
he's had a growth spurt, didn't it?
Yeah, you would never have thought he was he's come from cruiserweight. Yeah. You never would have thought he was bigger. He was bigger than Pero. Pero done some good things, but I've got to say it. When I was watching it, he's not that. For me, he's not that good.
No, he's not.
You can see that he's got the Olympic background. You can see that he does the fundamentals very well, and he does put a bit together. Good defense, like he was tucked up very well. Jordan Thompson didn't land anything clean.
Mate, Dave, he didn't even need that defense because Jordan Thompson didn't do anything until the last 2 rounds.
But as much as he was better and better than Jordan Thompson, I still don't think he's that good. You know what I mean? He doesn't do anything great for me. Like, yes, his fundamentals are good, and and he's got a lovely jab, and he was working to the body, and in spurts he looked the part. But I didn't look at him in front of Jordan Thompson and think this guy's a world beater. No. I didn't. For me, he's beatable. He is beatable.
He's number 2 behind Moses Tuma. Moses Tuma's number 1 for a reason. Yeah. Perro's not there for a reason. So is it why he's world ranked in the top 15? I agree with you. I just can't see it.
Yeah.
Nor his brother.
No. I'm not. No, I watched it and I thought he's not that good. No. He's not that good. He does do things okay. Fundamentally he's sound, but there's nothing great about what he does. And someone great would have walked through Jordan Thompson. Like I say, imagine if Moses a team Tuma, he wouldn't go around. He would.
You say that. You said that. You're right there. But when he hurt Jordan Thompson in the 9th, and he tried to get rid of him, did you see the kind of shots he was throwing? Slow and sluggish, like he was knackered. He was fucked.
Yeah, fucked. Yeah. So
Jordan Thompson was hurt.
Yeah, he spun him round.
He was hurt. But didn't have enough left to get rid of him.
Yeah, that's exactly it. Yeah, so it wasn't a great fight. But like I say, I feel like him getting through it is a win for him, especially as he got starched.
Yeah, it's a good point, Dave. It's a good point.
Especially as he got starched by Obataya. You know what I mean? He gets starched again from Perro. Where does he go? At least now, we'll put Jordan in, he'll give him rounds and all that. You know what I mean? And get him work. I kind of think that's the only thing it can be, because it wasn't stay away from him and you win the fight. It definitely wasn't that. So yeah.
I think you've nailed it, mate. To be honest, why didn't I think of that? But you're right. You go back and you see the decision with the judges. Thompson didn't look too disappointed, if that makes sense. So what you're saying is probably right. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know. Going to America, you're not on a great purse. You're still the B side. Your trainers and your managers, they've all got to be paid. You got your travel, your plane. It just seems a long way to go not to engage and kind of make a statement and think. I don't get it. I don't get it.
I mean, where heavyweights we got out there, even the ones that are coming through, where do you put Jordan Thompson? He's not even a British level heavyweight for me. He's not.
No, he's not. Can be, but it's not showing it. I know it's only the first fight. I get it, and it was a big jump up from where Perro's ranked. But I took no. I don't really. We don't really talk about Thompson because he's very inactive. But I can't find many positives. What I saw from Saturday night, Dave, from Thompson. I've got to be honest.
No, I agree, mate.
Yeah. Talking of positives, mate. Pat Brown, fucking hell. Talking about shit divisions, the cruiserweight division. There's only Jaibataya in it, really. Welcome Pat Brown to this. I know. Don't get me wrong. I know he's 5-0, 5 KOs, mate. And people say, well, look at the way you talk about TMA and she's done more or less exactly the same. And you're gone about doing world level and going on to bigger and better things. Yeah. Yes, I know. I'm not saying that about Pat Brown yet, but the way he's getting rid of his opponents and what he's doing, it's not going to be long. It's not going to be long. I'm not saying it's not going to be long before he goes in with Jaibataya. I'm not saying that. But it's not going to be long before he's well ranked and not far behind Jaibataya. Dave, this was a good opponent. This was a good bit of matchmaking from Eddie Hearn. I mean, don't get me wrong. His opponent's back end of his 30s, 37, 38, Felix Valera. He had a decent record. He's got a decent record. 24-8, but he's got 21 KOs. So they're looking at somebody that's going to give Pat Brown rounds. They're looking at somebody who's going to throw and trade with him. And this guy went the distance with Bivol about 6 or 7 years ago. Don't get Bivol's not a puncher, but he's got enough to get rid of this level of opponent. So I thought the matchmaking was pretty decent. And to be fair, Pat Brown done a job with him, in 2 or 3 rounds. But he kept getting up and he kept trading. He was going, you're not going to fucking have me. And he traded with Pat Brown's just too big, too strong, too fast, too fresh. He's going to be a problem. I for what it was worth, the 2 rounds it lasted, mate, I thought he was brilliant. I like what I'm seeing. Yeah. I'm looking forward to the Pat Brown journey, because when I saw him in his debut, again, very harsh on me. It looked, I don't know, this Olympian coming out, won a bronze medal, supposed to be the bee's knees, not impressed, even though he got a knockout. He looks great. And I think he's got Sam Jones as his mouthpiece. So, I mean, this guy's going places. But yeah, Pat Brown on Saturday night, mate, demolition job against a guy that wanted to trade with him.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
Yeah, exactly that, mate. And listen, the cruiserweight division needs this. It fucking needs this, because we've been poo-pooing this division since we've been doing this podcast. The top guys are not fighting each other. You've got fucking Badu Jack fighting Madillion again, or whatever it is, on a fucking Don King show. Jaibataya wants to unify all the belts. It's a fucking shambles in that division. So we need people like Pat Brown to come in there and cause a stir, make a scene, rock the mic, get Sam Jones talking flannel, and just absolutely and it's all the better for it. And he can fucking fight as well, and he's exciting. And like I say, he's got the fundamentals from the Olympic background, but he's got spite as well. Usually when they're coming from that background, it's very tippy tappy. It takes him a while to get in. He wants to get in there and take your head off. So he's got that about him as well. And I love it.
I do as well. So don't laugh what I'm about to say, but I'm talking factual now. If you go and have a look at the WBA rankings, a certain Mr. Jake Paul has been put in at number 14. Yeah, honestly. And Pat Brown is ranked number 30. Now, from what we're hearing in the news, mate, Gervonta Davis looks like he's pulling out of that, inverted commas, exhibition fight. Now, I think we know Jake Paul won't go anywhere near Pat Brown.
God, not many.
For obvious reasons. So, on a serious note, kind of fast forward, he's going to have a couple more opponents like this. He'll probably be out again the back end of the year before he starts getting, Eddie puts his hand in his pocket and someone's going to hit back. So, legit question to you, mate. We saw earlier on, back end of last month, Chris Billam-Smith fighting against God knows who it was. Purse bids were absolutely poor. He's pulled out of it now. How much money do you think Eddie would pay somebody like a Chris Billam-Smith? Don't get me wrong. I know I said not kind of jumping the gun too much, but Chris Billam-Smith looks to be on a little bit of a decline. Pat Brown's on the way up. Yeah. How much would it take him to get out of bed to get in the ring with Pat Brown? Because it's kind of a win-win for Pat Brown. If he loses to Chris Billam-Smith, he's not quite ready. So he used him as a barometer where he is. Chris Billam-Smith's the next world champion. I will get there. But if he does a number on him, I mean... then as a potential fight going forward,
I would put Pat Brown in with him very, very soon. To be honest with you, I would. And the thing is, the division is that poor that it's not something that can't happen soon. Chris Billam-Smith will probably look at it at the moment and think, I'm not yet ready to be an opponent. He still probably thinks that there's world titles out there for him.
And he's also had a bit of that Saudi money as well, which I mentioned earlier on the show, Dave, about certain other fighters. He looks like he won't get out of bed for more than $1 million.
Yeah. So, all the time over tires kicking around there. I don't think Chris Billam-Smith will get another chance, and if he does, he won't win it. So there, at some point in time, the Pat Brown thing can happen, and I don't think, and with the way that the cruiserweight division is, I don't think it's that far away, because who else are they going to fight? And there's just no one in that division that they get that appetizes it.
So you're right, 100% right. So if you go and have a look at his opponent who he fought on Saturday night, mate, Pat Brown, he got stopped by the Polish guy, Shislak, in 3 rounds. So you think again, a barometer. Pat Brown done it in 2, Shislak done it in 3. But you have a look, Shislak's like the interim champion. Now, would he would be a kind of a perfect opponent for Pat Brown going forward, after what they've both done to their opponent. But would he want to risk his interim championship? I mean, I think it was with the WBC. So like you said, the Badou Jack's taken on Mikeala. I don't know. That's probably a good opponent for him. But I think he'll have a couple more knockouts, if you like, before Eddie does get serious.
I think he will. With that division that he's in, I said it won't be long. We're talking fast tracking and stuff like that. There's no other way to do it in that division. It's not packed like the super middleweights or the light heavies we're talking about, where you can build yourself into positions. The opponents are just not there in the cruiserweight division, so it is going to be a point of he's going to knock over a few more, and it's going to be a former world champion, or because there's nothing in between. So for me, Pat Brown's going to get to that pinnacle very, very quickly.
Could you imagine if it was Jake Paul though, Sam Jones and Jake Paul in a press conference? That'd be interesting, wouldn't it? That'd be pay-per-view.
It would.
Wouldn't it?
Yeah, no, Jake Paul. It's never happened in a million years.
I'll be honest. With Sam Jones and the team, they've had to have made contact with MVP because the amount of money is on the table. Remember, he's a businessman. He wants to make money. Yeah. So the conversation would have taken place, but Jake Paul won't go anywhere near him.
Pat Brown gets that fight. He wouldn't have to fight again. It'd be the biggest paycheck he's probably ever going to get.
Well, Tank's supposed to be on 30 million, something daft like that.
Yeah,
that's why he took it.
Yeah.
And that's more or less it. Amari Jones was on that card as well, Dave. Just quickly, he's now 4-4, the American Olympian, beating his Tanzanian opponent in 3 rounds. We'll keep our eye on him. He looks very, very talented under the Matchroom banner. But apart from that, mate, performance of the weekends. Well, I normally say one from last weekend and the weekend before, but do it all in one. Who caught your eye? Who was the best performer of the last 2 weekends, mate?
I'm going to do 2.
Fuck's sake.
Sorry, mate. I'm going to do Fabio Wardley. Because
I knew you go there. It's just like the so obvious one to do.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I'm doing 2. I'm going to do Lyndon Arthur.
Yeah, I was going straight for Arthur.
Yeah.
Straight for Arthur. I thought it was brilliant. I know you got to give Fabio his flowers. He's in the blue chip division. Getting a stoppage against a former world champion. Now he looks like all roses to Usyk. But for Lyndon to turn it around on skill rather than just heart, desire, cojones, and you know, it was very good. And we don't really big up Lyndon Arthur for the obvious reasons because he doesn't normally turn up and perform. So, yeah, fair play to everyone involved. But obviously, Lyndon Arthur and Fabio Wardley, mate. So, yeah, we've done an hour and 24 now, Dave. We'll be back Wednesday. There's fuck all going on. It's Virgil Ortiz Jr. against Erickson Lubin. That should be a good fight. But the only other one really is Otto Wallin against someone that's ranked 413th in the world in an 8-rounder over in the States. And this guy is fighting to come off a knockout in 3 rounds. I mean,
which one are you picking in that one?
Well, we do the prediction league as well on Wednesday, and obviously the winners' weekly wager. And I'm going to be honest, I think I've got 7 weekends left to put it level. So it could be the penultimate weekends this weekend, mate, for me.
That's just like Celtic and Rangers. I won it at Christmas.
Yeah. more or less, mate. More or less. But yeah, so hopefully you can have a stacked or a packed David McDonald for us, full of news to kind of pack the episode out, if you like. But again, ladies and gentlemen, there's fuck all going on. Virgil Ortiz versus Erickson Lubin. That should be a good fight. But on the undercard and that Golden Boy card, Dave, there's nothing to kind of even cherry pick. So yeah, mate.
We'll fluff the episode.
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, we'll love you leaving now, mate. And as we normally do, obviously it's the end of episode 153. Please like and share and subscribe. And I do mean it. Please do that now while you're sitting there listening to us via Spotify and YouTube. But you see us out there, mate. So that's your new job going forward. So
I'm gonna have to do a proper slogan for this now, because every time you do it, you almost put me on the spot. So now,
I have put you on the spot the last 4 weeks, so you should be getting used to it by now.
All right, so I'm gonna make a slogan for this now, but for this one, it's enjoy the fucking boxing.
There ain't none till when. There ain't none. We've got another episode. So you definitely have to make a slogan. Yeah.
I'll have to make a slogan. Yeah, I'll make one. But yeah, we'll see you on Wednesday. It'll be out on Thursday for another action-packed, fluffed-up episode of the Robodope podcast. And stay safe and enjoy the bloody boxing.
Thanks again, brother. I enjoyed that. Right, see you later, guys. Take care. Peace out, Dave.
Hello, mate.